interrupt our program of Burlesque to bring you a special bulletin from the Intercontinental Radio News. At 20 minutes before 8 Central Time, the Mount Jennings Observatory in Chicago, Illinois, reported observing several explosions of incandescent gas occurring at regular intervals on the planet Mars. The spectroscope indicated the gas to be hydrogen and moving towards Earth with enormous velocity. Due to the unusual nature of this occurrence, we have arranged an interview with noted astronomer Professor Pearson, who will give us his views on the event. We take you now to the Princeton Observatory at Princeton, New Jersey, where Kari Phillips, our commentator, will interview Professor Richard Pearson.
This is Kari Phillips, speaking to you from the observatory at Princeton. I'm standing in a large, semicircular room, pitch black except for an oblong split in the ceiling. Through this opening, I can see a sprinkling of stars that cast a kind of frosty glow over the intricate mechanism of the huge telescope. The ticking sound you hear is the vibration of the clockwork. Professor Pearson stands directly above me on a small platform, peering through a giant lens. Listeners, I ask you to be patient during any delay that may arise during our interview. Professor, may I begin our questions?
At any time, Miss Phillips.
Professor, would you please tell our audience exactly what you see as you observe the planet Mars through your telescope?
Nothing unusual at the moment, Miss Phillips. A red disk swimming in a blue sea. Transverse stripes across the disk. Quite distinct now because Mars happens to be at the point nearest the Earth, in opposition, as we call it.
In your opinion, what do these transverse stripes signify, Professor Pearson?
From a scientific viewpoint, the stripes are merely the result of atmospheric conditions peculiar to the planet.
Then you're quite convinced, as a scientist, that living intelligence as we know it does not exist on Mars?
I'd say the chances against it are 1,000 to 1.
And yet how do you account for those gas eruptions occurring on the surface of the planet at regular intervals?
Miss Phillips, I cannot account for it.
By the way, Professor, for the benefit of our listeners, how far is Mars from Earth?
Approximately 40 million miles.
Well, that seems a safe enough distance. Thank you, Professor. Listeners, we have been speaking to you from the observatory at Princeton, bringing you a special interview with Professor Pearson, noted astronomer. This is Kari Phillips speaking. We are returning you now to our New York studio.
This just in. The latest bulletin from the Intercontinental Radio News. It is reported that at 8:50 p.m., a huge flaming object believed to be a meteorite fell on a farm in the neighborhood of Grover's Mill, New Jersey, 22 miles from Trenton. We have dispatched a special mobile unit to the scene with our commentator, Kari Phillips. We take you now to Grover's Mill, New Jersey.
Well, I hardly know where to begin. To paint for you a word picture of the strange scene before my eyes. Hadn't had a chance to look around yet. Why, I guess that's it. Yes, I guess that's the thing. Directly in front of me, half buried in a vast pit. Must have struck with terrific force. The ground is covered with splinters of a tree. It must have struck on its way down. What I can see of the object itself doesn't look very much like a meteor, at least not the meteors I've seen. It looks more like a huge cylinder. I wish I could convey the atmosphere, the background of this fantastic scene. Hundreds of cars are parked in a field the back of us. Police are trying to rope off the roadway leading to the farm, but it's no use. They're breaking right through. Cars' headlights throw an enormous spot on the pit where the object's half buried. Some of the more daring souls are now venturing near the edge. Their silhouettes stand out against the metal sheen. One man wants to touch the thing. He's having an argument with a policeman. Now, there's something I haven't mentioned in all this excitement, but now it's becoming more distinct. Perhaps you've caught it already on your radio. Listen. Do you hear it? It's a curious humming sound that seems to come from inside the object. I'll move the microphone nearer. Now, we're not more than 25 feet away. Can you hear it now? Oh, Professor Pearson!
Yes, Miss Phillips?
Can you tell us the meaning of that scraping noise inside the thing?
Possibly the unequal cooling of the surface.
I see. Do you still think it's a meteor, Professor?
I don't know what to think. The metal casing is definitely extraterrestrial, not found on this Earth. Friction with the Earth's atmosphere usually tears a hole in a meteorite. This thing is smooth and, as you can see, of cylindrical shape.
Just a minute! Something's happening! This is terrific! The end of the thing is beginning to flake off. The beginning is beginning to rotate like a screw. The thing must be hollow.
She's off! The top's loose! Look out there! Stand back!
Listeners, this is the most terrifying thing I have ever witnessed. Wait a minute. Someone's crawling out of the hollow top. Someone or something. I can see peering out of the black hole two luminous discs. Are they eyes? It might be a face. It might be a... Oh, this is the most extraordinary experience. I can't find words.
We are bringing you an eyewitness account of what's happening on the Wilmuth Farm in Grover's Mill, New Jersey. We now return to the Kari Phillips at Grover's Mill.
Am I on? Yes. Here I am, at the back of a stone wall that adjoins Mr. Wilmuth's garden. From here I get a sweep of the whole scene. I'll give you every detail as long as I can talk. As long as I can see. More state police have arrived. No need to push the crowd back now. They're willing to keep their distance. The professor moves around one side, studying the object, while the captain and two policemen advance with something in their hands. I can see it now. It's a white handkerchief tied to a pole. A flag of truce. Those creatures know what that means. What anything means. Wait! Something's happening! The shape is rising out of the pit. I can make out a small beam of light against a mirror. What's that? There's a jet